you can't doubt yourself. How another family does something might not be how you do it. And you know what? Like, that's okay. And to feel comfortable in your own skin, to walk with confidence, and to teach your children to do the same. You know, that they are chosen. You know, that our family, AKA anyone sitting out there, you and your family, that you get to parent these kids. Like, it is an honor, you know, that you were chosen for times such as this, just like they talk about, right? And so it's like, I think that's the most important thing. And I remember recognizing that myself, that, you know, whoever parents their kids, however my mom did, however your parents did and my dad did, that was their season, and now it's your season, and to embrace that season. And you can radically change your family generation if you embrace that. Hello, everyone. We are Greg and Jacquie Francis, and welcome to High Performance Parenting, where our passionate goal is to encourage you to raise champion children in a crazy world. Every week, we will bring you multiple episodes from our extensive experience of raising our six happy, healthy, successful, godly kids who are confidently equipped to win big in life.
We deeply believe that any parent who is provided with the right knowledge and continual support can raise amazing kids. And when they do, all of our futures get better. If raising up future generations of absolute champions matters to you as much as it does to us, here's how you can contribute. Like and share this podcast with everyone you know. And together, let's embrace this journey of raising champion kids in a crazy world. Okay, babe, let's wrap this series up.
All righty.
We got 2 questions left. And we kind of answered this, but we'll talk it through some more here. And the question was, think about who you were 5 or 10 years ago. What did that version of you desperately need that you didn't have? You know, a mentor, a community, a framework, a belief, and how would having it earlier have changed everything?
It's a good one. I don't know. You go first. Let me think for a minute.
You know, I think we've discussed this where I really don't know where we would be as parents without the pursuit of some people that we saw that were good parents, you know, and I like to give them a lot of credit because even little things. I remember we're talking to this one couple and asking them about parenting, and they instantly shifted into, there is a book that you have to, like, if you want to get your kids on a schedule and you guys want to have them, not only the little kids to have more peace and more stability and be properly rested, so therefore they act better. This is a book. If you guys want to have marriage connection, you need to have them on a schedule. But there's a book that you got to get. And so I remember getting this book, and it was this old, like, 1950s book. And it was written about this lady who had, like, nannied a whole bunch of very young babies for people. And it was like 300 families that she did. And I just remember reading this thing and just being like, whoa. And you and I decided to trust these people. So we trusted the information in the book. And then when we applied it, it worked.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh. And then another couple was like, hey, you need to read this book about discipline. So therefore, you don't get confused by the world trying to make it sound like you should never discipline your kid, or you're like some bad parent that, you know, whatever. And I remember reading that book and applying it and watching how much different our kids were than other kids. And so, you know, I give these people a lot of credit, and I give us credit for pursuing these people. See, sometimes I feel like when you're pursuing mentorship, you're pursuing knowledge, you just need to get yourself in the corridor. You need to find people that have fruit, and you don't even know what questions to ask them. So the best question to ask is, what question should I be asking? Right?
Yeah, where do I start?
Yeah, and so that's what we did. And so that created a journey for us, and it launched us in a direction where we could trust information, and we could even trust what we were doing.
That's
and then every kid we had, it was just that much more proof of there are certain things that we do that produce results when it comes to raising champion kids, right?
So I guess one of the things that you wish maybe we had, like, done better earlier maybe, is sought out those kind of people maybe. Maybe then we wouldn't have been as frustrated the first 5 or 6 years. You know what I mean? Like, had we sought them out earlier in life.
I think so. And I watch people do it now. I'll tell you what, I give a lot of kudos to the people that are in our audience on our podcast that I talk to that don't have kids yet that are listening to this.
I agree.
Like I'm like,
I agree.
you guys don't have no idea how much you're helping yourself, because most of us, like you and I did, it's like you have the kids and then you start learning.
Sure.
But now you're also navigating having kids while you're trying to learn. So you're kind of probably doing some things wrong, and then
surviving.
and then
you're surviving.
then you're kind of making a mess while you're trying to learn how to not have a mess.
That's good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So starting earlier would have been great, but that's for us. This is part of our mission. This is why we even have this podcast. This is why we do this. This is why we invest in the people that hire us to teach them how to have strategic family success. Some of our coaching clients right now, we talk about parenting all the time, and they're getting ready to have kids. And
they're newly married, wanting to talk about it now before they even have them.
I'm like, I can't tell you enough how smart you're being.
I agree.
And you're going to realize this later. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So, yeah.
That's good. I think for me, probably some encouragement from, wiser women that actually have the fruit. I wish I had seen maybe more one-on-one and daily of wise women who had the fruit, meaning their kids were grown with kids type thing, so like third generation starting type thing, versus them two kind of walking through it, maybe only being 5 years ahead of us or only 10 years ahead of me. I wish I had had something like that. And also from that perspective, maybe a little more encouragement of what maybe I was doing right. Because you feel like you're doing everything wrong, and you feel like every decision you're making may cost your kid their future, And so if I look back and could tell my younger self things, I would be like, you did more right than wrong. I mean, you were on the right journey. Your kids saw your heart and knew what you were trying to accomplish. You know what I mean? So to kind of like understand that I was a work in progress and I didn't have to have it all figured out, but there was a good system that I could follow. So don't get worried about things. I remember one lady that was just like kind of a motherly figure. Her kids are our age, so motherly figure. And she specifically told me when our kids were young. I mean, this is, when they were young, how she prayed every night for them, her kids. And she prayed for their significant other in the future. And she went in and every night prayed with them specifically over them, their future, their wives or her husband, their future kids. And I had never even thought or heard of that. I mean, I'm sure it's in the Bible. I'm sure I missed that part. You know what I mean? But I had never, and that was something I adopted like right away. And if you ask our kids today, they all know the words I prayed over. I still pray over them. And so I think like little nuggets like that, you and I truly like embraced them. We were like, that totally makes sense. Why wouldn't we pray over our kids every night about their future and their husband or their wives? And you know what I mean? Or like a schedule. That makes total sense. That lines up with, we could apply that. That's not that hard, or how to discipline them biblically. We could apply that. We don't know what we're doing. I mean, I came from a generation of timeout with my mom sitting next to me on the timeout stool, like things like that. I think we were really intelligent when something made sense and it lined up. We could do that. Like we can do that. And can we support each other during it? And how do you and I support each other during it?
Mm-hmm. It's really good. Okay. Last one. This is a good one. So, tonight we'll be in Seattle, and it says you're standing in front of a room full of people who are hungry, called, and ready to take territory. What's the most important thing you want them to leave with about excelling in their field, advancing the kingdom, and becoming the best version of themselves? We'll relate it, of course, to the parenting journey, right?
I would say, like, you were chosen. You were chosen to raise your children. I want you to be aware of that you were chosen to raise your children. You were chosen by God. He knew what he was doing, and how you do it is how it lines up with what works for your family, you and your marriage, you and your faith walk, you and your business, you and your health, and that you and your, community, and that you can't doubt yourself. How another family does something might not be how you do it. And you know what? Like, that's okay. And to feel comfortable in your own skin, to walk with confidence, and to teach your children to do the same. That they are chosen. That our family, AKA anyone sitting out there, you and your family, that you get to parent these kids. Like, it is an honor, that you were chosen for times such as this, just like they talk about, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's like, I think that's the most important thing. And I remember recognizing that myself, that, whoever parents their kids, however my mom did, however your parents did and my dad did, that was their season, and now it's your season. Mm-hmm. And to embrace that season. Mm-hmm. And you can radically change your family generation if you embrace that.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say it's kind of deep, but when you hear about people at nearing the end of their lives, they never talk about how proud they are of all the stuff that they've accomplished. They really don't. I don't even really hear people really talk about, I'm really glad I worked so hard, so now I even have left this kind of whatever they call it legacy, when it has to do with some kind of financial legacy for my kids. Mm-hmm. I don't really hear people say. I hear people fight for it their whole life. Mm-hmm. I find myself doing it. We do it, right? But then the thing is, when you get towards the end of your life, all you hear people talk about is, really all I want is to be close with my kids. I want to be close to my kids. I want to be close to my grandkids. I want us to have such healthy relationship. I want to see my kids excelling in things that actually matter.
Yeah.
Which is like marriage, connection, and how close you are to raising the next generation again. And so when you take a step back and think about that, you just realize that this cycle keeps happening where people spend the majority of their energy and effort trying to create something that they won't even really care about at the end. And they almost always have these regrets that they didn't invest enough time, energy, or effort into closeness of their family. Right? That's the thing. And so when you get that, I would challenge everybody out there to realize that you don't have to have one or the other.
Yeah.
You don't have to, be willing to sacrifice family for the betterment of future and finances for your family, right? You don't have to sacrifice connection with them and relationship with them. But, also just be self-aware enough to realize that you might be doing that because you don't know what you're doing over here, right? And so if you're a high achiever, we don't procrastinate about things. We creatively avoid, right? And that's how we justify it in our head. And so I would just say to get on the bandwagon, no matter where you're at in this season, no matter if your kids are 18 or if they're 8 months old, or if you're going to have kids in the future, I would just say get help. You have to start thinking. I just have to say this, and I have to say it a little boldly, but the whole concept of, if I go and provide for our family and then I let my kids kind of go out there and skin their knees up in the world, is not a good strategy in today's world. When I grew up, we were just at my mom's house, and I'm showing you how, as a country kid, and this is the most that we ever did, was walk down to this ditch over here, do this over here. There's not a lot you can get in trouble with. I didn't have screens. I didn't have this negative influence around me nonstop. I didn't have that kind of stuff. So my journey, I could develop by falling out of trees and things like that.
Yeah, learn the hard way, quote unquote.
But today, if you're not intentionally directing your kids, then the world is for sure training them. For sure training them so you got to realize that you're in a war for this. Now, for those of you parents out there that doubt yourself, at this point, I will tell you a phrase that a friend taught me at one point. When you're actually are nervous about, or you start feeling regretful, or you start feeling like you are behind, or you feel like you aren't, you've made too many mistakes, just remember this statement and get it in your vocabulary. I'm under construction. As a parent, I am under construction. I admit it. But my growth game is strong. And if I don't see you for a year, I will have to reintroduce not only myself, but my family to you, because we'll have been working so hard. See, that's a philosophy that you can take home. That's a philosophy that you can embrace.
That's good.
And it's really huge. Another thing, too, is wherever you're at or not at right now, you are exactly where you need to be to learn exactly what you need to learn, to become exactly what you want to become, to get everything you ultimately desire. It's important to understand that you are not in a bad place right now. You are in the perfect place to learn and become everything that you've always wanted to then bring to fruition everything that you actually desire. And so this kind of, you have to get a mindset of growth. You have to have a growth mindset. And you have to realize that it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. And when you look back at the end of your life, you're going to realize that this was a turning point for you in order to start creating the kind of family relationships and closeness that you've always desired. That's good. Any last thoughts? Anyway, about a minute left.
No, I think that was really good. And the nuggets that you said at the end I think brings peace. You don't have to know everything. That's why God's here, right? He knows it all is well. But if you're willing to continue to do the work, then the results will come.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. Great episode.
Yeah.
And hopefully everybody got a lot out of this. Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening, and thanks for your love and support. We hope that today's episode added tremendous value to you and your family. It would mean so much to us if you would partner with us on our mission of helping parents around the globe raise champion children in this crazy world.
To do so, simply take a moment to like and share this podcast with everyone in your network. See you next time.